APA documenting style. Dear students, we have been discussing APA for a number of sessions, and we know that how APA is used for developing your thesis statement and then to provide support to your thesis, to your argument, right? In this session, we are going to talk about how would we document the sources while using APA style, okay? APA, as we know, is the mostly used style in humanities and social sciences. And APA has a particular way of documenting sources within text, okay? And this is called in-text citations, all right? Remember that there are particular tips. How would we document, a source in text, right? Like, for example, if there are two authors of the same source, and we are writing it down, we are referring to it within text, and it's the part of our text, then the complete A and D and is used. But while if the same, source is written within brackets, and it's not actually the part of our text, but it's written, then the and is not completely written. It is ampersand, the ampersand and is written, right? So this is like one APA technique. And we should also know that if we have like 3 to 5 authors of a source, and we are referring to that source for the first time, then we would write down all names of the authors, right? So this is for 3 to 5 authors, okay? So all names are written in the first entry of that reference in our text, okay? And within all subsequent entries, the first name of that source with et al, et at, and then al followed by dot. Et al would be written in the subsequent entries, right? And then, like if there is a source which is written by 6 and more than 6 authors, then from the very first entry, it is written with the first name of the author, the name of the first author, and followed by et al. So these are, the particular documentation tips followed by APA. So as a researcher, you must learn APA style, documentation style, and you must be using it in your research work, right? So the in-text citation is really important. And then the list of references is given at the end of your research paper or your thesis, right? And the title of that list is references. So it is written as references, okay? And then we have, two different ways of documenting those sources. And the one is like we can use the software, any bibliographic software like EndNote or any other one, right? And we at the same time can also use the manual documentation style for APA. So the point is that if you are using a software like EndNote, then you are doing it very reliably, right? But if you're using it manually, then you must be checking for errors and mistakes, right? EndNote, which is written, which is, the style for documenting sources, it is not only available as a separate, software, but it is also inbuilt within your Microsoft Word file, okay? So if you're using Microsoft Word, then it is there and you can use it from your laptop and your computer as well. Then there are, various kinds of documentation techniques which are required to be known by researchers. While referring to a source, you must ask yourself, and you should know that which sources inform, support, or extend your argument. So if your answer to this question is that there are sources which are really important and which can inform, support, and extend your argument, then you must be, referring to those sources. You must be using them, right? And then the next question is that, have you varied the functions of sources to provide background? So if you are discussing a particular topic, the background which you are providing from the existing literature should cover, both aspects, like the aspects which are in favor of your argument and the aspects which are opposing your argument. You must be using both of them in order to provide the background, okay? Then you should explain concepts, lend authority, and anticipate counter arguments from existing literature. So you would be using sources for these purposes, right? And then do your signal phrases indicate these functions, right? So your signal phrases, they must be used for lending authority. They must be, used for anticipating and counter argumenting, right? And do you explain how your sources support your arguments? So while using signal phrases, you should know that how your sources are supporting your, they are explaining your claims and your statements. Do you connect and analyze sources in your own voice, right? In your own voice, meaning that you would be using your own language, right? So whatever you are actually reading from the sources, that information is then translated into your own language, your own words. So that's really important, and that's encouraged by APA, right? And then you are referring to them. So is your own argument easy to identify and to understand with or without your sources? So these are the questions you should ask yourself before using sources. And when you are clear that the sources which you are referring to are really important, then you should know that how would you document those sources, right? So the documentation style is well known. You should know them. The source material provided would teach you how to use them. I'm giving you one example which you should use while documenting that source, right? So let me take you to that example. Guys, this is actually the in-text citation of a source, Janowski and Janowski 2002, right? So you see that's the in-text citation style as per APA 2002 reported. So you see, this is the signal phrase that you are actually using this source for reporting something, right? So reported that the current state of the treatment for obesity is similar to the state of the treatment of hypertension several decades ago. Page 600. You see, it's the quotation marks are there. In direct quotation is taken from this source, right? And therefore, the page number is given. So when this is given in the in-text citation, then the entry in the list of references at the end is given in this way. Janowski S. Z. and Janowski J.A. 2002. Drug therapy, obesity. So that's the title of the paper, research paper. The New England Journal of Medicine, that's the name of the journal. You see, it's italic, right? And then 346 is actually the issue or the volume of this journal, you see? And the pages number 591 to 602, right? So these are the pages of this article in the journal, okay? So you see, this is the entry in the end list of references, right? And that's the way the APA is using for documenting sources. And this is for a source which is written by two people, right? So this is the way you would be using this APA style in your own research work. So you should follow them. And you should also learn how to use other sources like the books and journals, dictionaries, directories, and other sources, published and unpublished theses, right? So these are the documenting tips for APA citation style.